this was fascinating to me as well. Like, so in Australia, the MPP, it's a member network. It's a scheme, but it's sort of represented by the banks as at a member level. The opportunity to access the MPP is it's meant to be an open access model. So you're a direct participant, you can initiate payments, but you can clear and settle. You're an identified institution, means you're proxying in via a direct participant. And there's a third license, which is connected institution, which enables those connected institutions to initiate, but still needs a partner to clear and settle. Yeah. Now, in the US, what I found fascinating, I didn't realize this, but just recently there's a couple of fintechs that have now connected directly into the Fed now, but need to be sponsored by a bank. Can you give us a little bit more color on that? Because that is really, really interesting.
Yeah, so we still are very traditional in our interpretation of what a financial institution is. And that's a legal definition as well. In fact, the Federal Reserve statute actually limits its financial services provision to banks or financial institutions. So, directly, Zepto or Glenbrook cannot be clients of the Federal Reserve Financial Services. And the clearinghouse, which runs these parallel networks, has taken a very similar position, right? We don't have connected institutions per se. We don't have payment institutions or a concept of digital bank in a regulatory sense. They're still kind of payment services providers. In fact, that's what the Federal Reserve calls them. But they can still play very important roles, but they just do so at the collaboration of a financial institution. So you have to have a sponsorship, which is inviting you into the network, as well as, that's who the Federal Reserve holds, or the clearinghouse holds responsible for the activities, right? Because otherwise they don't have any relationship with a payment services provider. But even, Fiserv and FIS, they're all payment services providers to the Federal Reserve. That's how they're connected to the Fed. It's not something new. It's just something that hasn't really been widely scaled.
Yeah, because I guess the level of governance required to get a bank to sponsor you is bank-like. So, yes, that's so just so I'm clear, that enables you to technically connect into the Fed to initiate, and then that bank that sponsored you would then clear and settle the payments on your behalf, I'm assuming.
Well, that's not a requirement. That is I guess an implication, and it often does that way. But, if Glenbrook were a payment service provider, we could have one bank that we use to sponsor us into the network, and who we actually, we're their client in this sense, because they're paying our bills in the network, yes. Right? Yes. Right. So they're paying our connectivity bills, et cetera. Yes. And, but we may work with other financial institutions for yes. clearing or settlement. Yeah. They don't have to settle your transactions.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. But I guess the point noted here for some of the, like one of the fintechs that recently connected, a US fintech, they would still need, they couldn't clear and settle directly themselves. They would still need a bank to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's incredible. Like, that's cool. And we also sort of referenced, we got a lot of respect for Adyen. And I saw that recently they've got a bank branch, I think, in the States that enabled them to go directly as well. So there is a lot of movement here. And I think there is a lot, if you look at the latest news around advocacy for greater engagement or the ability to access as non-banks. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon in the US, but there's real value here for driving competition for pricing services and greater efficiency. But as it is in Australia, that can't be inconsistent with managing risk and stability of the financial ecosystem. So those things need to be in check. In fact, we're like Zepto, we've met the Federal Reserve team a number of times, and just being able to, they're very interested in like how that works in Australia, where we're connecting in, like what licensing do we have, what governance do we have, the cyber and information controls that we have. So there's a lot in there, and it's not easy. So, but that was a really an eye opener for me, though, the ability to connect in, because that provides, well, especially as a tech company, provides you greater visibility and transparency over what's happening. You're not relying on a third party to relay anything. It's great when it's going well, but when things don't go well, proximity to the rail is so critically important to be able to communicate the status of what's going on.